Joe is out with his girlfriend Claire for a picnic in the countryside. Suddenly, over the trees appears a hot air balloon that lands, tipping out the pilot, and rises, leaving a young boy stranded in a basket. Joe and other picnickers and bystanders grab the trailing ropes, but one by one let go as the balloon ascends except for one person who is borne aloft, before falling to his fate. Today, we will talk about a 2004 British psychological thriller film called Enduring Love. Joe has planned an afternoon in the English countryside with his partner, Claire. As they prepare to open a bottle of champagne, a hot air balloon drifts into the field. The pilot catches his leg in the anchor rope, while the only passenger, a boy, is too scared to jump down. Joe and 3 other men rush to secure the basket. Just as they grab on, the wind rushes into the field, and at once the rescuers are airborne. Joe manages to drop to the ground, as do the others, except for one who is lifted into the sky. They watch as the man falls to his death. Recalling the events at dinner with his friends Robin, Rachel, and Claire, Joe reveals the impact the incident has had on his battered psyche. The balloon eventually landed safely, the boy unscathed. Joe later goes to retrieve the body of the fallen man with fellow rescuer Jed Perry. Jed feels an instant connection with Joe. Days later, Joe, feeling guilty, spends time trying to map out ways that could have saved the man. One day, he receives a phone call from Jed, telling him to come outside so that they can talk about what's happened. Joe looks out of the window and sees Jed standing across the road from his house staring up at Joe's window. Joe is reluctant, but Jed promises that he will leave Joe alone if he comes outside and talks to him. After Jed makes some comments that make Joe uneasy, he decides to leave, telling Jed to leave him alone. Joe could not remove the memory of the fall from his mind and keep on thinking about what he could have done instead. Not too long after this, Joe visits a local bookshop and Jed makes an appearance by taking his photograph. Joe is confused and angered by this and tells Jed that he does not want to see him at all. Jed is hurt by this and continues to tell Joe to be brave and admit what passed between them at the field. When he got home, Claire was working on casting Robin's face. After Robin left, Joe asked Claire why can't do the same for him, to which she replied she cannot do it because it's hard to articulate and she needs distance to be able to do it so. Jed sat at the next table to Joe as he was having lunch. Joe got so annoyed and almost beat him. Then he went to Claire's workplace to tell her about him. But Claire told him that maybe Joe needs someone who is a professional and offers to talk to Jed herself, but Joe refused. He felt she didn't understand him. When Joe read about the death of the man in the newspaper, he went to visit his wife. She tells him that she believes that he was having an affair after the police returned a picnic basket for 2 that was found in his car, along with an unknown woman's scarf. After hearing this, he decides to work out who was with the man on the day he died and who let go of the balloon first. Joe and Claire celebrate his birthday at home, but they had an argument and Claire told him that it's enough as she angrily cleaned the dishes. At the swimming pool, Joe saw Jed waiting outside, showing him Claire's picture in the newspaper. At this point, Joe is ready to talk to him. When he finally asked Jed if he saw the man arriving, Jed replied saying that he remembered them praying. Joe accused him of following John, the man who died, but then Jed told him that he was looking for his lost dog. Then Jed laughed and talked about how Joe holds the curtains delicately but firm, was very loving. He then gave him a paper claiming he saw it in the dustbin outside Joe's house. It is something to do with Claire and made Joe angry. Jed then said, "Forget about Claire, I am here now." That evening, Robin and his wife, Claire's brother, and his girlfriend were at their house. Joe told Claire that, on the day of the incident, he was planning to propose to her. Jed continues to follow him even in his class. That night, it began to dawn on Joe that Jed was a stalker, believing Joe loves him too. He searched on the internet about curtains and stalking, saw a woman stalker who waited for curtain signal. He read about fixed belief and the secret love message. That woman went to Buckingham Palace every afternoon at 4:30 p.m. and she believed the king is sending her a secret message of love as they adjust the curtain the time daily. He woke up Claire and explained to her why Jed kept on stalking him. Ecstatic that he cracked it, he opened the curtain and saw Jed sitting under the rain. The next morning, Joe went to Claire's workroom and saw his own cast. Claire came and told him it's over. He then angrily put a ring on her finger saying let's get married. He then stormed out of the house in the rain shouting for Jed. Joe then went to Jed's house. He saw his and Claire's pictures and many things which confirmed that Jed is stalking him. He tried to hit Jed with a bat but dare not do so. Joe then gets drunk before going to Robin and Rachel's house where he stays the night. When he wakes up, his friend tells him that Claire just called and that Claire had told him to come over as Jed was in their house. Joe races to his house and enters the living room to find Jed and Claire sitting next to each other on the sofa. Jed looks as if he has been beaten up and falsely blames Joe. Claire appears to believe Jed's story as he told her about how Joe loved him. Joe loses his temper and Jed went after him, grabs a kitchen knife and stabs Claire and she falls to the floor, bleeding profusely. Joe then pretends to accept Jed into his life and they kiss. As they kiss, Joe grabs hold of the knife from Jed and stabs him. Jed falls to the floor, while Joe rushes to Claire's aid and calls for an ambulance. Joe returns to the field where it all started, with the wife and daughter of John, the man who died. They are joined by a couple who explains that the woman's husband had not cheated on her but was giving the couple a lift in his car. The picnic basket and scarf were theirs, and they were too embarrassed to intercede, as they were having an affair. The wife is happy to discover the truth and said that she had believed her husband was cheating. Joe told the man's daughter her father was very brave. He and Claire then drank champagne as they weren't able to complete their picnic the last time. The movie ends by showing Jed in a center and writing something. Thank you for watching and listening. Consider subscribing to the channel for more romantic thriller movies like this. See you again soon. Until then, take care.